Major funding for A Taste of Louisiana with John Folse and Company is made possible in part by Zatarain's authentic New Orleans-style dinner mixes. Zatarain's, a good way to jazz up dinner and a real New Orleans original since 1889.
Louisiana. She's the exception and never the rule. She's a mystery that asks not to be solved, but simply to be experienced. Louisiana, where you can come as you are and leave different. Additional funding is provided by the Friends of Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting.
Lace, a century-old garden in a southern bayou. What a perfect setting for a home. At least that's what Dr. Nicholas Friedlese thought when he built this house back in the early 1800s. What a wonderful sight it must have been to sit on that beautiful wrought iron porch and gaze through moss-laden oaks to view the tranquil Cane River as it flowed by. Ah, it had to be gorgeous. Well, y'all, today the view is exactly the same, but that old 1800s mansion has been totally restored by Judy and Avery East into one of the most luxurious B&Bs in the South, and definitely one of my favorites. I'm Chef John Folse. Welcome to Natchitoches and to a wonderful old Louisiana landmark. Welcome to the Levy-East House. Judy East and her dachshund, Miss Magoo, greet all of the guests entering their luxurious B&B. The house was tastefully renovated to capture the spirit of an earlier period. Levy-East has a private rear entrance staircase accessing the upper story added to the home sometimes prior to the Civil War. On the second floor are two magnificent bedrooms. The color in the one here at the back stairs is my favorite.
John, this is one of our typical rooms here at the Levy-East Bed and Breakfast.
Oh, what a fantastic spot to spend the evening. This is great. What beautiful furniture.
Isn't it beautiful? Yeah. The furniture was here in the house when we bought the house in 1994. However, it was in a bad state of disrepair, and we had to have all of the furniture refinished.
So you mean you had to go and get somebody to strip all of this down and redo it?
Absolutely. We had some men who refinished the furniture for us, and they did a beautiful job.
Boy, they really,
and the furniture
really
in this room is of the Eastlake period. You can see the bed, which we've dressed with a beautiful crown canopy behind it, the marble top dresser,
gorgeous.
The armoire, and this most unusual mirror over here above the fireplace.
Well, I noticed that black little inset in there. I've never seen that before. That's really unique.
It really is.
You've got a lot of great pieces here.
Yes, we do. We really do, John. But my favorite piece in this room is my wedding dress right there.
That's your dress?
That's my wedding dress.
Let me guess, a size 3?
Well, close.
Every bride in America would love that.
Well, John, let me show you another one of our rooms. Come right on down the hall.
Good, thank you. Beautiful.
Well, here we are, John. Don't you love this room?
Ah, it's a beautiful room, especially the colors on the wall and these gorgeous draperies.
Well, thank you. A friend of ours from Winfield, Sandy Harrell, helped me with the interior decorating of the house. And she was the one that selected all the colors for the rooms and the fabric for the drapes, and we selected the style for the drapes to be made, and then we had them made in Shreveport.
Well, y'all did a fantastic job throughout the house. It's absolutely beautiful. And another great set of furniture in here.
Yes, this furniture is wonderful in here. We believe it's called Romanesque Revival, and once again, it was here in the house when we bought the house, and we also had to have it refinished.
Oh, what a wonderful job. I'm going to have to get the name of the person who redid this furniture.
They did a great job.
What about this beautiful bedspread? It looks antique.
It is. It was crocheted by my mother, and then her aunt finished it. And so it's a real treasure for me.
Well, and a treasure for everybody who stays in the house as well. It's a beautiful piece.
Well, one of
the things that I think really stand out in the house, and I've been to a lot of bed and breakfasts, is the openness, the airness, the large windows. I just love the look here.
Well, John, if you like this room with all the bright windows in here, you'll love the library. Let's go downstairs and let me show it to you.
Oh, I'd love to. Come on.
Okay.
The library with its wicker furniture was absolutely beautiful, but y'all, take a look at this magnificent carved staircase. What a fabulous first sight for your eyes to feast upon as you enter the front door of Levy-East. It's absolutely beautiful. The parlor and dining room portray elegance. Most of the furnishings were here when they purchased a home. Notice this unusual matching 1800s oak period china cabinet. The dining room table is of American walnut from the 1800s Victorian period, while the table is set in English wedgewood. Notice this rosewood sofa here in the parlor was actually stored in the attic. The mahogany drop-leaf desk came from Judy's family. What a fabulous heirloom to share with overnight guests. Levy-East is an elegant and romantic B&B located in the historic Creole community of Natchitoches, the oldest settlement in the Louisiana Purchase. Y'all, when you consider that the Louisiana Purchase took place back in 1803 and that this town was already settled at that period, you can imagine the history in the culture in that magnificent Creole city of Natchitoches, Louisiana. And Judy and Avery East has done such a magnificent job restoring that Levy-East home. It's just a sight to behold. So you have to go by and spend a night or two. I have to tell you a little bit more about it. But first I have to tell you about the foods that I discovered at the Levy-East House, beginning with these wonderful little honey and Creole mustard-glazed Cornish hen. Now, of course, I've already washed them out really nice, because whenever you fool with chicken, you want to make sure that they're washed thoroughly, because a lot of times there'll be blood and giblets and everything all on the inside, so you want to remove that. The Cornish hen, by the way, is a cross between the Plymouth chicken and the Cornish cock, the rooster from Cornwall, England. And the two of them came together in the early days for a nice game bird. It was a really nice game flavor, but over the years, of course, through the breeding process, today it's just a nice, delicious white meat, and it's quick roasting, and I love them roasted. I also like them pan sauteed, by the way, split them in half and just pan saute them. But roasted with a nice herb flavor is great. So let me show you how I'm going to season them. Just a little bit lemon juice, that's right, just a little touch of lemon juice, because there's going to be a mustard glaze here. So you need that little citrusy addition. A little touch of butter, which will crisp the skin really nicely on these little birds. And then you want to rub all of that into it nicely. Just kind of coat them well inside. You have to get your hands amongst this stuff, y'all, when you fool with chicken. Now, what kind of seasoning would I put on them? Well, first of all, a nice herb mix. And whenever I fool with chicken, I think of tarragon, I think of sage, a little basilico, a little basil, thyme. Again, of course, you can kind of play around with that, but I like these flavors. Tarragon is really nice on chicken. And whenever you season them, make sure that you season them in and out, and also put some of those beautiful herbs under the skin. You want to kind of run your fingers right under the skin like this to get some of the herbs under there, and that's going to add a nice flavor to that delicate breast meat. Just kind of run your fingers right under. And then salt, pepper, garlic, a lot of garlic, and season the inside of the chicken nicely too, because remember, there's a bonish structure, a rib cage in there, and you can over season the inside, because naturally you're not going to get all of that salt and pepper out into the meat of the bird. So put some extra seasoning down in there, and as you can see, I'm putting ample seasoning on my little birds. Another thing I really like about these, they're small enough to almost serve one bird per person, which I like too, especially, and they come in different sizes. This is about a 2-pound, maybe a 1.5 pounds here, but you can get a couple, depending on the size of the person eating them. If it's a child, get a small bird. Of course, a big man like me or a Cajun, go ahead and put one of them 1.5 pound birds on us. Once all of this is done, you can come back and put a little Creole seasoning on top of it. Just kind of put a nice flavor on the breast. Now, y'all, this is going to go into a 400-degree oven. You're going to cook them for about 30 minutes. Uncovered. You want to really crisp that skin up with the butter. In fact, let's put them in the oven. I have some already in there, and then we're going to make the glaze. So when you put them in that oven, as I say, leave them uncovered so you can get that nice finish. Let me pull this out of here. Whew, real nice and hot. Close that oven door and take a look at these beautiful birds coming out of there. Look, they're about done. They've been in there for about 30 minutes, but of course you want to glaze them. So I'm making a glaze with honey and Creole mustard. Let me show you exactly how that's done. I have a bowl here that I have some nice honey in, and of course I like to use cane syrup too. In the old days we used to put a touch of molasses on here, but I'm going to use honey and Creole mustard. This is a nice grainy mustard out of Louisiana's Creole community. So you want to kind of mix all of that together nicely and make this wonderful glaze. One thing you want to also remember about honey or any sugar glazes, they burn pretty quickly. So you want to, once you put this on the birds, you want to make sure that you have a really nice eye on that pan there. Let me go ahead and glaze this in like this and paint those birds. Paint them nice and evenly. Go ahead and get that glaze all over it there. How nice that is. And of course you can imagine with the lemon that's already on the bird, and then of course that nice citrus from the mustard and the graininess of the mustard, the sweetness of the honey. Whew, unbelievable here. Now once they're glazed, now remember they've been in the oven already for about 30 minutes, so you already have a nice finish to them. I have some that's already been in the oven. Let me wipe this off with my hands. They've already been in the oven for the last 10 minutes of the glazing process. And let's take a look at them right here on the counter. These birds have sat with that nice 400-degree heat, crisping the skin. You can almost take your finger and kind of pluck the skin like this, and it kind of feels almost like the skin of a football almost. It bounces right back at you. So go ahead and leave them in there. Look what I've served them on, y'all. A little pecan rice dressing. Use your imagination. You can go ahead and put some wild rice on here. You can put any kind of flavored rice you want, but I love to serve Cornish hen on some kind of a rice dressing. And you can even stuff the birds if you want to with the rice dressing. It's a really nice finish for this bird. Now, I mentioned that they're roasted. Well, I could also, as I say, split them right in half, pan saute them in butter, and finish them in the oven. They make a really, really nice, quick dish if company happens to come over right away. So, rock Cornish game hen from the Cane River. Now, whenever you fool with chicken, I have to tell you, you have to wash your hands. You get, in fact, just believe me, I've had a couple of viewers call me to tell me, wash your hands after you fool with chicken. So I have to do that real fast before I start my next dish. And what is that next dish, by the way? Well, you've heard of black-eyed peas in Louisiana, right? Black-eyed peas came over to Louisiana in the 17th century with the African slaves. They brought with them the congri. Some people call them cow peas, but the Africans brought the congri with them, as they call them, black-eyed peas, and they have today become a staple on Louisiana's New Year's Day table. You see them in Hoppin' John, you see them in a jambalaya, all over the place. So it's one of the great contributions of the African nation to the American table. So take a look at this bowl I have here. I have two bowls here on the table, beautiful little bowls, I should mention. They kind of look like black-eyed peas. I have some fresh, uncooked black-eyed peas here, and then I have some cooked ones. Now, you can also buy them in the can, but if you cook them, just go ahead and put them in a little salted water, boil them for about 25 or 30 minutes until they get nice and tender, and then you're ready to go ahead and cook them. If you're in a rush, right out of the can. They're really, really nice as well. In Louisiana, I like to kind of cook white beans, red beans, black-eyed peas from scratch. Now, how do we cook them? Well, I have my black iron skillet here, so I'm going to put a little bit buttery flavored oil out of my old Model A oil bottle there. People are always asking me about that Model A oil bottle from the old days. And I'm going to season it with a little bit onions, celery bell pepper. Even vegetables in Louisiana, y'all, are seasoned with vegetable seasonings. Onions, celery bell pepper, red and yellow bell pepper, by the way. And then I'm going to saute that around for just a second to wilt those vegetables. You want to get a nice vegetable flavor in the black-eyed peas. But the most predominant flavor, well, are you ready for this? This is sauteing. I want you to take a look at this sausage here that I'm going to put right on top of my skillet. This is Louisiana andouille sausage. I know you've read about it. andouille, andouille. It's not ground meat, y'all. It's chopped 1/4 inch cubes, seasoned with salt, pepper, and garlic, and then stuffed into the large beef middle casing and then smoked over pecan wood for about 6 or 7 hours until it's fully cooked. It is the most flavorful of our Louisiana sausages. For seasoning, so I've diced some andouille and I'm putting it right into the skillet, and it's going to give the black-eyed peas a really nice smoked flavor, and a little jalapeno to spice it up. Of course, you can use a cayenne pepper or pepper flakes, but I'm putting fresh jalapenos in here for my spicy black-eyed peas, or cangri as the Africans called it back in the 1700s. Now, y'all, a little black-eyed peas right down into that. And I'm using the cooked version, but let's say you wanted to cook these from scratch. With the fresh beans, I would go ahead and do the same thing I've just done. Saute my onion, celery, bell pepper, and a little butter. I would add my andouille sausage to it, and then I would put the whole dried beans in here and put about 2 inches of water on top of the beans with a little salt and pepper, and of course just let them boil until the peas get nice and tender, which is going to take about an hour. It takes a little while to do it, but all of the flavors will be cooked into it. Take a look at this skillet, y'all. Look at the colors in here. All of this. Does this look like a vegetable anywhere else in the world? This is Creole country. Black-eyed peas. Remember the spice. We have jalapenos in here. So now I'm going to add a touch of salt, just a little bit salt, a little bit pepper. Remember, everybody has to choose their own amount of spice. Go ahead and put it in. You can actually, if you wanted to, put a little basil and thyme in here if you'd like, and let these saute until they until all of the flavors are married well in the black-eyed peas. I like to cook these actually one day before I use them because they marinate in that flavor and pick up all of the nice smokiness of the ham. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, y'all, this is another one of the dishes that I picked up at the Levy-East House. Put that in a nice bowl and put it right in the center of the table next to the rock Cornish game hen mustard and honey glazed. The lady who owns that house, Judy East, with her husband Avery, created a soup that they call Luscious Lemon Soup, and they serve it to all guests as they arrive at the house or as an aperitif right before dinner. She was good enough to take me into the kitchen after that tour and give me a lesson on Luscious Lemon Soup. Well, Judy, here's that great characteristic of your house again. A lot of open windows, a lot of light, white space. What a really nice kitchen.
Well, thank you, John, but it's just my kitchen, and this is where I cook breakfast for my bed and breakfast guest. And of course, I talk Avery into washing the dishes.
Yeah, I bet you have to twist his arm a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Now, even the cabinets here are so nice with the beveled glass. I mean, that's a nice treatment.
Yes, they are. We owe a lot of credit to the kitchen to a relative of ours from South Louisiana, Carol Gilbo, who lives in Abbeville. He came up here and built all the cabinets for us and helped us do a lot of the work on the house, and I'm especially proud of my little cookbook shelf back here in the back. He did that for me.
Well, you know, it seems that y'all had a lot of people involved in the house, from the painting, the draperies, obviously the carpenter work. That's really nice to have that many friends at a time in need, right?
We were very fortunate.
Now, the last time I was here, you met me at the back door with 2 glasses of a luscious lemon soup, and I thought to myself, it kind of tasted like a malt almost with a nice lemon flavor. Where did that recipe come from?
Well, I actually found it in one of my favorite magazines, and I cut it out and made it, and I even changed the name to Luscious Lemon Soup, and I think it made it taste just a little bit better.
Your own personal touch, it always makes it taste better.
Right.
Well, you promised to share the recipe with us, so why don't we get started? What do we have here?
Well, I'll be glad to share it with you, but you probably have to promise to help me.
Okay, I will.
All right, I'll whisk while you pour the ingredients.
Okay.
First of all, we'll whisk the eggs.
Okay, and you have 2 eggs in there.
2 eggs, and
Okay.
you'll add a 1/2 cup of sugar.
All right, pour that right on in. Get that mixed in there real well. Okay.
3 tablespoons of lemon juice.
Okay, now the 3 tablespoons seems like a lot of lemon juice, but I guess it does have that really nice lemony flavor, so that's
Yes,
about,
it does.
that's about right.
It really makes it good. And a little lemon zest, please.
Okay, lemon zest. All right, a little chopped zest in there.
All right. And a tablespoon of vanilla.
But now, did you ever try putting any other type of extract, like a praline or something like that?
No, I've never tried it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to mess up a good thing.
No, you're messing up a great recipe.
Right. All right, now we'll add a quart of buttermilk.
Okay. All right, good ice cold buttermilk.
Yes.
Yes, that also has a nice little citrus flavor to it, buttermilk.
Yes, it does. It's a good combination.
Okay.
And now we're going to add a half a cup of ice cream.
Okay, ice cream. Now this is just vanilla?
Just plain vanilla ice cream.
And it's softened already, so you're just going to blend it in.
Right.
Now is that all to it? You just mix that in and that's it?
Well, actually, there's just one more step. We need to put this in a blender or a food processor, and I actually do it in 3 batches. And it gives it a chance to kind of foam up and rise and make the flavors go together real well. And if you add too much at one time, then it might come out the top.
Oh, okay.
So I do that, and then I put it in a bowl or pitcher and put it in the refrigerator. And I chill it for a couple of hours.
Get it nice and ice cold.
Right.
And then that's it.
That's when it's ready to serve.
Now, do you garnish it with anything in particular?
Yes, I garnish it with a little more lemon zest and sometimes some mint leaves.
Well, I tell you, it's fantastic. And I see 2 glasses there. I suspect one of those are mine.
I think so.
All right, let me have that. Well, hey, let me say cheers to Levy-East House.
Thank you.
Kind of tastes like a lemon icebox pie, just liquefied.
That's exactly what it tastes like.
It's delicious,
Well,
really.
thank you.
Luscious lemon soup, y'all. Didn't I tell you it could be a malt or it could be, well, I tell you, it really is an interesting beginning course. And I tell you, in this hot Louisiana weather, I can imagine a picture of that on one of those galleries overlooking Cane River. 2 champagne glasses. I tell you, what a way to close an afternoon at Levy-East. Now, talking about closing, let's take a look at this black-eyed peas here in the skillet. I've added most of my seasoning. I'm going to add a little stock. You can add beef stock or chicken stock just to keep them nice and creamy. You can see how flavorful they look. You might want to test them out. I'm going to just kind of get a little taste. Oh, beautiful. To make sure the flavors are nice, especially the smoke of the andouille. And then to serve them up, as I mentioned, just go ahead and put them in one of these beautiful bowls, and perfect finish to chicken. And you know, in South Louisiana, we do a lot with black-eyed peas, but they're a real Southern tradition as well, y'all. This is one of the dishes that definitely came out of the Civil War and remains one of the premier dishes of the South. In fact, Hopping John was which uses black-eyed peas, was actually named by one of the Union soldiers because of the sound it made in the pot as the black-eyed peas bounced around the inside of those enamel pots. And that's where the name Hoppin' John came from. So black-eyed peas served alongside chicken or roasted Cornish hen is absolutely perfect. 2 other great dishes that I discovered at Levy-East I want to show you here. One of them, the almond cream pie. I want to talk about that a little bit, because not only does it have a beautiful meringue, and you notice that I took the meringue and I put it on in dollops right on top of the pie. I'll put some slivered almonds on top of it here. But the meringue is just kind of pushed on with a knife and spoon. And let me tell you about making meringue, because people have a lot of trouble with it, y'all. And the way I do it, I put about 5 egg whites in my mixer with about a 1/4 tablespoon of cream of tartar. I put it on high gear. I just spin it around until it starts to froth up, and then I add about a 1/4 cup of sugar. Just throw it in there. It's not that delicate. Let it just whip and whip and whip. I normally sprinkle in about a tablespoon of cornstarch right at the end to help with the weeping so that it doesn't run after the meringue is baked. I whip it until all of the grains of sugar are melted, and then it's nice and stiff, and I put it on top of the pie. Always remember to let the meringue hit the edge of the pie, because then it won't shrink into the pie. So whip it enough to dissolve the sugar, put a little cream of tartar, about a 1/4 teaspoon for 5 egg whites, and then whip it until it becomes nice and stiff with the sugar just all added in. and you're going to have a beautiful meringue. All cream pies, though, have a tendency to want to weep in the refrigerator. So most good cooks will tell you, make your cream pie the day you're going to use it, let it get to room temperature, and go ahead and serve it. Otherwise, what you're going to have is, if you put it in the refrigerator, is a lot of weeping of the cream. My other dish that I got at Levy-East, look at these herb roasted potatoes, y'all. Just beautiful with a little basil, thyme, garlic. Just saute them nicely. I'll put them in the oven and roast them away. Well, if you want to live in the lap of luxury for a day or possibly two with either yourself or a loved one, why not take a ride out to Natchitoches, Louisiana, and check in to Levy-East. And until next time, y'all, thank you so much for stopping by as we continue to visit the bed and breakfasts of the Bayou State and cook up more great Taste of Louisiana. Whew, look at these black-eyed peas.
To learn more about A Taste of Louisiana with Chef John Folse and Company, visit PBS online at the internet address on your screen. Hot beignets and warm boudoirs by Chef John Folse is available for $29.95. This companion book to the series features over 150 recipes. To order, call 1-800-973-7246 or write to the address on your screen.
Major funding for A Taste of Louisiana with John Folse and Company is made possible in part by Zatarain's authentic New Orleans-style dinner mixes. Zatarain's, a good way to jazz up dinner and a real New Orleans original since 1889.
Louisiana. She's the exception and never the rule. She's a mystery that asks not to be solved, but simply to be experienced. Louisiana, where you can come as you are and leave different. Additional funding is provided by the Friends of Louisiana Public Broadcasting and the Foundation for Excellence in Louisiana Public Broadcasting.